today's video, I want to go over how the HX35 handles the 125 horsepower injectors on my way out to work as we go up and down these steep grades. We've done this video before with the HY35 versus 125 horsepower injectors to kind of show how fast the EGT gauge would ramp up and get up into that danger zone of 1200, 1250, 1300, and kind of showcase how with the stock HY35 Turbo and bigger injectors, it doesn't really leave you any room for accelerating up hills or anything like that. The stock turbo on these 2000 to 2002 24 valve Cummins trucks is just too tiny to pump enough air volume up through the intercooler into the engine to burn that extra fuel that you might be adding to your engine with bigger injectors or a fueling box like a quad adrenaline, an edge comp, things of that nature. But now that we have that turbo off the truck and we have the HX35 Turbo installed, it's time to check out what kind of numbers we see on the gauge pod. So I'll be going up and down a couple of different bigger hills on my way out to work, and we're going to capture that with the speedometer, the boost gauge, and the EGT gauge, so you'll get a sense of what the boost gauge is kind of doing at just kind of more or less cruising speeds. And then when we are on some flats, some more flatter road and everything, I will get into the throttle just a little bit and show you how quickly this HX35 will still spool up and create boost, and where the boost gauge will kind of spike out to and then settle down to. And we still have not touched the adjustable boost elbow from Diesel Auto Power. We installed that on the HX35 exactly how it came to me in the mail, and set the Turbo Smart wastegate actuator at 2 millimeters of preload, so we didn't try and add any more preload to help hold that wastegate shut. So everything right now as it sits is more or less in stock form, and we will start making some tweaks and adjustments to it here in the near future to see what the truck can handle and where we can get that boost level up to. But let's get into our first hill right now. Just from that first hill right there, the EGTs did fly right up to 1100 or so. Case in point, you could see that I could still accelerate and gain speed going up the majority of that hill and not really have to worry about the EGTs spiking out that much. But as soon as I backed out, you could see them start to drop to around 900, and I still was going way faster than the speed limit. My speed didn't really decrease or drop, and I could have got back into the throttle to increase my speed more. So I was still able to control that EGT gauge with my right foot in the skinny pedal, whereas with the HY35, that EGT gauge would have stayed probably pegged out around 1100, even if I backed out and got back into it just to maintain my speed going up the rest of that hill. But the HX35 leaves us more room. It helps to cool it down a little quicker with that bigger exhaust housing, the slightly larger compressor housing and wheel. So it's just an all-around better setup. And for anybody looking to do a turbo upgrade but can't afford to go out and do a big single turbo just yet, I would recommend just taking a couple $100 and getting a used HX35, throwing a rebuild kit on it, and installing it on the truck, because it's definitely going to buy you some cooler EGTs and allow you to have a little bit more fun with your truck. It's going to give you a little bit more boost. behind a truck who was going extremely slow. We started creeping down, losing speed, and got down into a passing zone. So that was actually probably the ideal situation that I could have asked for to run into on that hill. In prior weeks, when we still had the HY35 on the truck, whenever we would run into a situation like that, I would have to stay behind those slower trucks and not really be able to get around them because I would be worried about the EGTs. And the thing with the EGTs is you can get them up to around 1250, 1300 or whatever, but you want to be able to back out of the throttle real quick after that, and you don't want to stay in it too long if they do get up there that warm. So when I had the HY35 on the truck and we would come up to a slow truck on a hill like that, I would get up alongside it in an attempt to pass it, and I would have to back off basically neck and neck, or I would have to stay in the throttle and push through and run the risk of getting the engine very hot with EGTs and stuff. So now with the HX35 on, you saw that I was able to accelerate, gain speed, get up to around 60, 65 miles per hour, get around that truck, and the EGT stayed around 950 to 1,000-ish, I think is what I saw on the gauge. But we'll see when we put the footage up side by side of the gauges and the speedometer. So I don't know, I'm so thrilled at how the HX35 is responding with the truck so far and these bigger injectors on the truck. I really did not expect it to be that much of a difference, to be honest, and so far what I've seen is it's huge, man. It really is making quite a difference and helping the biggest thing in my mind, which is the EGTs, to stay cooler. And that was my biggest worry and concern before having the smaller HY35 on here. A lot of it is probably due to the fact that the HX35 is also freshly rebuilt, whereas the HY35 wasn't, and it probably wasn't able to perform up to 100% like it should have been. But we don't have to worry about that anymore because the HY is off, the HX is on, and we're just gonna keep moving forward and putting it through its paces, testing it out in different scenarios to see what it can and cannot handle, and just how the EGTs change under certain stress loads. That last hill there was another ideal, perfect scenario of where we just got to kind of maintain our speed and cruise to the top of it and watch what the EGT gauge did, and basically riding around 1,000 to 950 or so, I think is what I saw over there as I was trying to peek and watch two cameras and make it up the road without going off the side. So that is that's just amazing, man, because the HY35 would have been up to around 1,200 or so, and I would have been decreasing my speed just to keep those EGTs lower. And I don't know, I can't say it enough right now of how stoked and how pumped I am with this HX35 on the 24 valve. It truly has made quite a difference, and no, it's not a huge difference, but it's definitely big enough that it's noticeable, and it is helping the truck out tremendously compared to what the HY35 was able to do with these 125 horsepower injectors. And the edge comp box is turned on 1x5 when I had the HY35 on. If I had the edge comp on, it was game over. The EGTs would just get hot and stay hot, and if I had it turned off, they would get hot and stay hot. So there you have it, guys. You got to actually see what kind of numbers we're getting on the EGT gauge, kind of watch what the boost gauge was doing at cruising speeds and accelerating just a little bit up hills with this HX35 Turbo installed on the 24 valve Cummins truck, and you guys can see it for yourself. It definitely has made quite a difference in how the truck is performing, keeping our EGTs lower, and definitely our boost numbers are much higher. So I would take this HX35 over an HY35 any day, and highly recommend to you guys, if you have a 2000 to 2002 automatic 24 valve Cummins truck, to look at getting one of these just to get you by until maybe you're ready for a bigger single turbo and have more of the supporting mods that a bigger single turbo will go with and complement, because you can't go wrong with this HX35. You'll definitely enjoy it and definitely not regret that decision. If you already have slightly larger injectors, you have an edge comp box or a fueling box on your truck, then I would say go with this. If you are looking to upgrade your turbo a bit, if you're still on stock fueling and want to get just a little bit better boost numbers, or have a turbo that you can play with the boost a little bit more in a proper way, I guess I would say, definitely go with this. You know what? Just go get yourself an HX35. You won't regret it. That's gonna do it for this video though. I hope you guys enjoyed getting to see what the EGT gauge is doing, how the HX35 is doing on the truck so far within the first week of it being installed. Hit that like button on your way out if you did enjoy. If you could, it really does help with the channel growth and recommending videos to new people. If you're stopping in for the first time, you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, because we have just more things to do. It's never ending with the 24 valve. We all know that. Once you start doing something, you can't stop. You gotta keep on going. So hit that subscribe button, join the family, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace. Time to go to work.